Hello everyone, this is Dr. Marvin Faulkner and this is my podcast titled Inspirational Messages. Talking about how to love, let go of pain, and have peace throughout life. I'm a double board certified anesthesiologist and pain management physician. After many years of seeing people suffer, I felt compelled to create this podcast and inspire others to have faith, hope, and love. Thank you for listening. Well, we're putting into season 2 now of the inspirational messages that we placed on YouTube, and hopefully you'll appreciate the improvements as we've added some music and a lovely intro, and we're going to stay focused on the messages, of course, but hopefully these will come across a lot nicer for everyone. So we'll get right into it. The message is titled The Cost of Hatred. Now, I do want to mention that, I have my webpage, www.marvinfaulkner.com, Facebook, and of course the YouTube channels. So there's plenty of opportunity to make contact, figure out how you can order one of the books that have meant so much to so many people, Days Gone By and Letter to God. A lot of interesting just return messages, if you will, from many people about what the book has meant to them. So the cost of hatred. The cost of hatred. I was watching a film about this Civil War days. And the war was not really completely over when it was said to be over. And it was a little bit concerning watching it, the visceral hatred between the remaining different groups that that really didn't want to surrender. And then what Ulysses S. Grant taking over the presidency, of course, with Abe Lincoln being shot. It was kind of some really, really terrible, hard times in the United States of America. And I don't know that we've had any more hatred since the Civil War than we do right now. And that's very concerning for a lot of people, a lot of American citizens and those that are trying to gain citizenship. So we've watched, the change of power from one party to another. I had stated before that I hadn't voted in 25 years, and voted since Reagan. I made it to the booth, and I agonized there, splitting my vote. I was very confused as to what to do. And probably 2 to 4 weeks after I had cast my vote, I was just kind of, why did I bother to do that? All I can say is that I will show up to vote because I should, because it's our country, and the cross is in Arlington Cemetery. The blood that was shed for us to have our rights. I mean, this was a sacred, sacred thing that when the Constitution, there's not another word that you can really associate with it but sacred. We've gone from being the best nation to a questionable nation, it seems. And there's a real lack of love and just visceral hatred. So I will go cast my vote from now on as an independent. I mean, that's what I've always really been anyway. And I would love for an independent to be president so that there could be some healing of this divide, which is full of hate. So the cost of hatred runs deep. It's very high. It's very, very high. you look at it in this life. I mean, hatred filled my home when I was a child. Not all the time, but it was there. And it was not becoming. It was not pleasant. It was not pretty. Amidst all that, there was a little love, maybe sometimes a lot of love mixed in with it, but sometimes some real visceral hate. And that ended tragically and cost our family greatly with my mother's death, in which when she took her own life. And hatred was involved. You know, families are ruined by it. People are ruined by it. I mean, Julius Caesar in Rome was ruined by it. Our country was split and divided with it before. It's not a winning hand, hatred. I mean, ask Adolf Hitler. Ask what hatred got for Hitler. He put a bullet in his head in a bunker of the last building left, and that was his reward in this life for hatred. Now, we're filled with divide and hatred in this country. And more hatred is not going to heal that. Only love will heal it. It's easier to choose to hate. Just easier. A lot of people love to hate to love. But when you choose love, well, of course, that makes all the difference. A house is just a house. It takes love to make it a home. I found that out when the mother of my children, when my wife died, and we built this big, beautiful home that was our reward for all the price paid, labor and education, and we built it. She died in it. It was not an easy death. Cancer is not an easy death. And so when I looked at it without her in it, it wasn't a home any longer. It was just a house, something to be sold and finally, in this case, auctioned off. I didn't even want to be there. She was not there. So I took the children on the run to start over in another place. Hatred. Hatred cost everything. And only love can fix it. So now as a country, what do? Since we know the cost is high in families, at work, in political upheaval, we can see the great divide as we've not really seen it like this since the Civil War, in my opinion. And we know that we've had horrible times before. This country's been through world wars. I mean, the Great Depression. We had smallpox. We had worse pestilence. We had more death. The difference is great. Great because we had great men in leadership positions to help us rise up from the quagmire of despair, from the quicksand. They brought us up, Roosevelts and Trumans and Eisenhowers and John Fitzgerald Kennedys, They brought us up. They inspired us. Now, we have women in politics as well. And it doesn't matter to me. All I care about is that we get an inspiring leader. Somebody to bring us up. Somebody to bring us out of this horrible agony. This visceral hatred that runs deep. So deep. How does one watch the media? How can you? How can you turn it on? How can you stand it? I mean, just for a little bit? You certainly can't. I can't leave it on very long. It's just become too disturbing. Maybe we'll have more people watch the Super Bowl than ever because they can't take it. Our country's cracking. And the citizens and the people who served in the military, like myself, it's like, wait a minute. What is going on? How do we heal this? The cost of hatred is not just limited to this world. We're going to die. Some people seem to forget somehow that they're going to die. Everybody else died, but they're just going to live forever. Some people choose to believe in nothing. Some people say there is no God. I say, without a God and a supreme being, we are doomed. What else do we have to believe in? For heaven's sake. So, in eternity, do you want to spend forever in an eternal abyss of darkness and pain and hatred? Or do you want to walk on over into the light and be there with those you love forever in peace and harmony? I mean, come on, why is the choice so difficult? Why don't people see that there's only one who should be judging, and God will. He will decide. I can tell you that if my spirit being is before the creator of the universe, and somehow when I'm in line, if I am, and I look over and I go, well, were you an earthly being? I mean, were you a human on earth? Yes, I was. So, okay, well, all right, well, what was your name? Adolf Hitler. Well, if that is what I hear, I'm in the wrong line. Something's happened. I want to change position. That's not where I want to be. I cannot understand this visceral hate, this just our country needs mercy. It needs love. It's not about a party. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's not about that. It has to be much more than that now. It has to be which leader can just take us to another level and heal the pain and the suffering and the visceral hate. We've got to pray. Pray for President Biden. Pray for Kamala Harris. We must pray for them. It doesn't matter what you belong to or who you voted for now. You pray for them. That Joe saved his best for last. That if he's made mistakes before, he won't want to make them anymore. He'll want to leave his legacy intact with goodness and mercy and love. And if something happens to him, God forbid, then Kamala comes up and she just becomes the best president ever. And notice how I want to leave out the words woman and of color. What does that matter? She is a human being and a person. We just need for her to be great, so that when we Google the top 10 presidents, one day she's in there. We need somebody now. We need somebody. My good Lord, if I had money or what prowess or the people that I knew or I was in position, I'd run myself. Independent. The Republican on the right, Democrat on the left, and I'd try to heal this thing. Say, look, I'm neutral. I'm just here for you, the American people. I'm here. We'll get this bill passed. We'll do it. It's not that difficult. It just isn't. Not when you love. Not when you have harmony. A marriage where there's love. It's a home. You want to go home. Like in eternity, you want to go home. If it's a house, you just drive on by. You say, nah, you know what? I think I'll stop off and see whoever here there. But I don't. You know what? I don't want to go to that house. Why? Because there's no love in it. But if it's a home, you can't wait to get there. This is wrong. This is not right. There's nothing about this that's right. The cost of hatred is too high. Julius Caesar found out. Many men that took other men into battle, and there was just visceral hate, the loss of life. My God. Hatred will cost you your life, your position. It will cost you your family. It will cost you everything here. And then in eternity, it will cost you everything forever. Unless a merciful God allows you somehow to come back in. But that's not my call. I can't imagine people that have done things like Adolf Hitler. I cannot imagine that they would be sitting in the same place as a Martin Luther King. That's just impossible. Impossible. How could that be? There would have to be some division there, just like the horrible, horrible divide that we have now. My God, the cost of hatred is everything. It is everything. It will just cost you everything. We need help. We need prayers. We need God. We need God to smile upon the United States of America again. We need to rise up. And only love will do that. Only light will take out the darkness. I still love this country. But right now, I'm struggling to try to figure out why. I've had people say I served in the military and now I don't know why. I mean, this has gone too far. It must be healed. I have a web page, Facebook, and these inspirational messages. Please read a book, do something, and let love into your heart during this critical time. Let love into your heart. Let love win. May God bless you. And thank you for listening.